Você já se perguntou qual é o segredo para aprender inglês rapidamente e de forma natural? Bem-vindo a mais um episódio do nosso podcast, onde desvendaremos hoje uma técnica poderosa: o poder do input em inglês. E atenção, a partir de agora, este episódio será inteiramente em inglês. Não se preocupe se você não entender tudo de imediato. A exposição constante ao idioma é a chave para a fluência. Então, ajuste seus fones, prepare-se para um mergulho no inglês e vamos começar!
What is input and why is it so important? So, what exactly is input and why is it so crucial in language learning? Input refers to everything you listen to and read in English, all the language that enters your brain. It's the TV shows you watch, the songs you listen to, the articles you read, and even the conversations you overhear. The more input you receive, the more familiar you become with the language, and over time, you start to naturally understand and produce English without even thinking about it. But here's the thing, not all input is created equal. Let's dive into what makes input truly effective. Constant exposure to the language. One of the most effective ways to improve your English quickly is to surround yourself with the language as much as possible. This means integrating English into your daily life. Imagine you're walking down the street with your headphones on, listening to an English podcast or music. You might not understand every word at first, but over time, your brain starts to pick up patterns, recognize words, and even understand the general meaning of what's being said. This is the magic of constant exposure. The hear and repeat technique. Have you ever watched a scene from a movie and thought, I wish I could speak like that? Well, you can, and a great way to start is by using the listen and repeat technique. This method is simple but incredibly effective for improving both your pronunciation and your fluency. Choose a scene from a movie or a series that you enjoy and understand reasonably well. Listen to the dialogue carefully, paying attention to how the words are pronounced, the rhythm of the sentences, and the emotion behind the words. Then, pause the scene and try to mimic what you just heard. Imitate the actor's intonation, their accent, and even their pauses. Repeat this process several times until you feel comfortable with the way you sound. For example, if you're watching a scene from Friends, listen to how the characters interact, their use of contractions, and their casual tone. Try to copy Rachel's or Joey's way of speaking. It might feel awkward at first, but with practice, you'll notice that your own speech becomes more fluid and natural. This technique doesn't just help with pronunciation, it also reinforces vocabulary and phrases in context, making it easier to recall them in real-life conversations. And the best part? It's fun! You're essentially playing a role, which adds an element of entertainment to your learning process. Input understandable. Learn at your level. Let's talk about something crucial: comprehensible input. This concept is all about finding the right balance between challenging yourself and not feeling overwhelmed. If the material you're consuming is too easy, you won't learn much. But if it's too difficult, you might feel frustrated and give up. The sweet spot is content that you can understand 70% to 90% of, with the remaining 10% to 30% being new and challenging. For beginners, this might mean starting with children's books, simple articles, or TV shows designed for English learners. As you progress, you can gradually move on to more complex materials like novels, podcasts, or even academic texts. The key is to push yourself just enough to learn something new, but not so much that you feel lost. For instance, if you're reading an article and you understand the main ideas but encounter a few new words, that's a good sign. Look up those words, understand their meaning, and then continue reading. Over time, your comprehension will improve and you'll be able to tackle more advanced content with ease. And don't forget about the power of subtitles. When watching movies or series, start with subtitles in English. This way, you can match the spoken words with their written form, helping you to better understand pronunciation and spelling. Gradually, try to watch without subtitles as your confidence grows. The shadowing technique, practice in motiono. Have you ever heard of shadowing? It's a powerful technique where you repeat what you hear almost simultaneously as you listen to it. Think of it as echoing the speaker, but with a slight delay. This method forces you to process the language quickly and helps improve both your listening and speaking skills. Here's how to do it. Find an audio clip or a podcast in English, something with clear and natural speech. As you listen, try to repeat what the speaker says immediately after they say it. Don't worry if you can't catch every word at first. The goal is to keep up as much as possible. This technique is great because it pushes you to get used to the rhythm and flow of English speech. For example, listen to a news report or a TED Talk and shadow the speaker. You might find it challenging initially, but with practice, you'll notice improvements in your ability to comprehend and articulate English quickly. Plus, this technique can be done anywhere, while you're walking, commuting, or even doing chores around the house. It's a great way to turn idle time into productive language practice. Turning input into output. Practice talking. Now, let's talk about turning all that input into output. After all, the goal of learning a language isn't just to understand it, but to use it. The more input you receive, the more you'll want to start speaking English. And that's where practice comes in. Start by talking to yourself in English. It might sound strange, but it's an excellent way to practice thinking in English and developing fluency. Describe what you're doing, how you're feeling, or what you're planning for the day. This helps reinforce the vocabulary and structures you've learned. Another great way to practice is through language exchange. Find a language partner, whether online or in person, who is a native English speaker or someone fluent in the language. Engage in regular conversations where you can practice speaking and also get real-time feedback on your language use. These conversations don't have to be long or complex. Even a 10-minute chat can be incredibly beneficial. If you're feeling more confident, try participating in online forums or social media groups where English is the main language. Engage in discussions, ask questions, and share your thoughts. This not only helps with writing skills, but also allows you to interact with others and see how English is used in different contexts. The day of language learning. To wrap up, remember that learning a language is a journey. The more you expose yourself to English, the more natural it will become. Whether it's through listening to podcasts, watching movies, reading books, or practicing speaking with others, every bit of input you receive brings you one step closer to fluency. So, embrace the process, be patient with yourself, and most importantly, enjoy the learning experience. And if you're ever feeling discouraged, just remind yourself of how far you've come. Every new word you learn, every phrase you understand, and every conversation you have in English is a victory. Keep pushing forward, and soon enough, you'll find yourself thinking, dreaming, and living in English. Practice talking.
Antes de nos despedirmos, vamos falar sobre como foi essa experiência de escutar o podcast inteiramente em inglês. Para muitos de vocês, talvez tenha sido um desafio, especialmente se estão acostumados a consumir conteúdo em português. Mas é importante reconhecer o progresso que fizeram apenas ouvindo até aqui. Se você conseguiu entender boa parte do que foi dito, parabéns! Isso é um sinal de que seu inglês está evoluindo. E se por acaso teve dificuldade em acompanhar, não tem problema. Uma dica é escutar o episódio novamente, mas desta vez com legendas no seu idioma nativo. Isso vai ajudar a captar melhor as palavras e expressões que podem ter passado despercebidas. O mais importante é que você continue se expondo ao inglês de maneira consistente. Faça do aprendizado algo agradável e parte do seu dia a dia. E lembre-se, estamos todos juntos nessa jornada. Se precisar de um momento de alívio, não hesite em voltar ao conforto do seu idioma nativo. A mistura de práticas em inglês e português pode ser exatamente o que você precisa para tornar o aprendizado uma experiência ainda mais rica e divertida.